Hey, welcome to the Centre Bounce, guys. This is our Monday show. Now, it's interesting. We've got to kind of work out a name for our Monday show. I reckon, Joe. What do you reckon? Monday Madness?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it. I would not be against the name. Monday Fun Day. I don't know. That's
Monday
pretty
Fun Day.
crap.
Hey, it works, right? Monday Fun Day. I'd be pretty happy with that too. How's your week been, Joe? How's your day been?
Yeah, not too bad. I ended up having to re-record my team review for how shit I did on the weekend. I had to do that again. So not only did I have to obviously stay back after work today, but I also had to discuss twice how shit I did. So nothing better than recapping the trauma that was the weekend. Yeah. And how was your day, mate?
It's not been too bad. Slept most of the day and then had doing this now and then have work later. So yeah, not too bad.
Mate, we're top of the table. End the season. End it. Wrap it up, guys. We're top of the ladder. The Bombers. Let's go. Let's go.
It was a good game, right? Can't complain with how well the team went. Because you guys were down at halftime, or was it smooth sailing the whole game?
It was a bit rough. Had to be hard fought in the first quarter, but after quarter time, we sort of I was sitting with my brother. I'm like, how are we winning this? And then, wait, why are we up by 40 points all of a sudden? So it was really bizarre. Yeah, I've got all of the fan footy pages open right now, so we can go through all of the games one by one and look at the stats and look at the scores. Callum, I get a smile every time. Oh, yeah, Callum, welcome aboard, mate.
Oh, man, that head, I swear. John Cena, why would he do that to his hair, man? So lucky we can even see him on the display picture. Someone took a photo or drew a picture of John Cena because you can't see him, right? It's like, hey, you can't see me. So,
No, this is Chinese Cena. This is the Chinese Cena.
Chinese Cena. Chon Cena. So,
cause that's crazy to think. After round one last year, 2200 was 50K overall, and this year, 2200 was top 2K.
Yep. Yeah. There was some massive scores. I think some of the teams, the team reveals for Joe and I are currently uploading at the moment. So after this stream, jump on and watch those. I think the way we had made our teams kind of dictated a lot of how we went this week. I know personally for myself, not stacking the forward line with a lot of your Gouldens, your Cogs, those kind of players really hurt. And yeah, those guys went big and then the other guys kind of fell off. And yeah, it is what it is, really.
Me going to the beach on Saturday was a killer. Missing out on Shazel. Big whoop. I get a bit of suntan. I get a bit of sunburn, and then I get burnt in Supercoach with missing out on Shazel. I get double the burn. It's freaking bullshit. It is what it is. We'll start with.
I spoke about it in my video and was just like, Jordan's Discord went off. The Fantasy Tech TV Discord went off 20 minutes before the game. Hey, everyone, Shazel's playing backline. Get him in. So I'm I went and got him in and yeah, worked out all right, apart from all the other changes I made this week. So, yeah. And what are we doing today, Joe? What's happening in today's episode?
Well, I'm going to be talking... don't want that up just yet. We'll be going through the games, recap of the games, seeing who the top scorers were, who are people that you want to keep on your radar, people that I'm sure a lot of us have discovered that some of the picks that we've got are no good, mate. Yeah. Some of the picks that we've got. So we're going to be highlighting those no good picks and highlighting some of the good picks. People that we got to be aggressive, man. We got to be aggressive. It's still early days in the season. These first 2 weeks, boost up, baby. You got to boost up.
And it's kind of given us the flexibility to do that as well, which I think is really important. Tomorrow's episode, guys, we're going to go through and do a bit more on the heat maps and things like that. Have a look at some things. But definitely go through the team sheets today.
Yes. So we will start.
How you doing, Shannon? Thanks for joining in.
Shannon,
love that picture.
Mackay, yes, bud. Spud. He let you guys down big time on Thursday night, and that is where we are going to start. We are going to start Thursday night, round 1, beginning of the season. We've got Richmond v Carlton. It was a draw, mate. It was a draw. Neither of them deserved to win.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of starting off the AFL season with a draw. I think the last time it happened was, I was talking about it on the stream, maybe early 2000s or something, I think. Kind of two teams that you'd think would be fighting for finals, which they obviously are, but some real missed opportunities both ways. Richmond showed why they were good, and Carlton showed why they didn't make the top 8 last year.
They are chokers. You can't spell Carlton without the L in there. Like, you can't. It's impossible. They always cop L's some way. I am so bullish on Carlton. Their list is so good. You know what I mean? And you can look at rattle off the top names here. You know, Cripper, 121 off 25 touches. Amazing. Wiedering, one of the best key position defenders. Sard, we know how dynamic he is. Explosive, some might say, off halfback. Look, I'm Arab. I can make that joke. Doherty, you know, the gun, 108 Supercoach. Mitch, who they missed a lot last year, a great intercept defender. You know what I mean? Like, if Mitch McGovern is he considered a top-tier player, or is he depth at this point, or a role player? He's a very good one.
I think for Carlton, he's probably top tier. For Supercoach, he's definitely depth. He was great last year's price, but this year's not really worth it. In their backline, Wiedering needed someone to back him up, and McGovern's kind of doing that for them against the really high scores. So,
yeah. You can see it. I mean, a lot of his score came from marks, so it's a question of how often do you see him getting a lot of marks. Intercept marks in particular are gold. Doherty had a really slow first half. It was up on 30 points or something at halftime. And then he just pulls out 108, as you do. Casually went 70 plus points in the second half. And that's why you got him. You get him in because you know he's capable of absolutely exploding and going bananas in a half of footy. Mm-hmm. And Sard was always an option as soon as the statistic came out about, no Williams, you know, no Zach Williams.
Zach Williams, yeah.
He averages 110, right? 115, 110. So that's exactly what he's done here. He's got 115 and then another healthy kick to handball ratio. So these Carlton defenders, is it indicative, you think, of the season that's to come, that the defenders are going to be the main scorers this year? Or do you think it's just a normal case of the mids are still trying to, you know, haven't hit the ground running just yet?
I think we saw that last year as well. A lot of the defenders doing quite well. I think just this game in general was very much like this. If we look at some of the team sheets throughout the week, it's not as bad. But I think when you have kind of these slower games where the ball's a bit more congested, you know, they'll score a behind and then run the ball out from the back line, that kind of thing. Your Sard and Doherty types, your Wiedering, who'll, you know, spoil somebody or take an intercept mark. These are the ones that shine quite a lot. I mean, if we look at the highest scorer for Richmond, Dan Rioli, 126, the rest of them weren't doing that great either. So it's pretty indicative of, like, the guy that took kickouts did quite well. You know, the guy that runs off halfback did quite well, whereas the rest of the team kind of struggled.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. He had 84 time on ground, 92% disposal efficiency. Like, he was very clean. Loved Daniel Rioli's game. He looked amazing, very quick off halfback. And one that really, it's hard to believe that this guy was once really almost a failed small forward at some point, struggling to play. And all of a sudden he's like one of the best halfbacks in the competition now. It is a great transformation to be starting off halfback. And I would certainly look at him a lot. And I think I'm going to be looking at him again this week when they play. But his heat map wasn't the best. I remember looking at it after the game. So I'll have to give him another week. But he certainly looks really good. And Nan Curvis actually did really well. For some reason, they didn't name another backup ruckman to back him up, really. They just they really left him to his own devices, and he did a great job. He ended up going 112. So, look, he's certainly an option, but compared to the likes of, you know, the other guys that are absolutely popping off this year so far, he played against a Tom De Koning, who really is still up and coming, right? He's not ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. He did a lot better than the premiums I had this week, so no complaints there.
Anyone else in particular here from Richmond? I mean, obviously there's Tim Taranto, 32 touches for 103 Supercoach points. You think that's quite tragic, but it's quite normal for this guy to with his 8 clangers and 56% disposal efficiency. It's normal. You're gonna get a lot of this with Tim Taranto during the course of the season.
Mate, it's pretty rough, isn't it? Like 56%, like that's every second kick was basically a shank. Or every second touch was like a bad pass. Oh, yeah. Hopefully he fixes himself up. But that was kind of the issue with him coming into the season as well was, hey, this is what he's like, right? Moving down the list, we'll do Carlton again, but moving down the list to there, we've got Hopper on 67. If we watch my team review that's coming out probably in the next hour or so, you'll see what I've done with Hopper. But, yeah, it's just not good enough for kind of what we got score-wise. With him.
No, it really wasn't. And he's playing, you know what I mean? Like he's playing inside mid. It's not good when someone he was in quite a few center bounces. I think he was in like 13 or so center bounces, which is roughly 67% of them, and he only got 1 clearance out of all of those center bounces. He looked slow. He didn't pass the eye test in the second practice game, but he still scored decent. So we're like, look, if he plays bad and still scores decently, then we take him, right? But he also looked bad again in this game, and he did not score decent. You know what I mean? Like that's where is he again? Hopper, 72, time on ground, 61% disposal efficiency, 3 clangers. You know what I mean? Like this is not what you want to see from a guy who's that price. We don't want 67s out of him. We want him to go 90 to make us 150K. He's now behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, you look at his 72 and like Cochin had 67%, which is basically less than like 3/4 of the game on field, which is monster. Marlon Pickett on 51, who obviously got injured or got subbed. And then like Mansell was the next one. So why is Hopper such long? He's not Will Brodie. Like he can't pop out 100 and then have 50% time on ground. Maybe that's what they're trying to do with him, but it's not great for Supercoach.
No, I'm looking to trade him out. Some people might say that it's very overreactionary, looking at just this game and automatically jumping off him. But it's not just this game. It's also all of last year. He had center bounce attendances. It's not like he didn't have any center bounce when he was in the game. He still had attendances, and he also had attendances in the second practice game, and he still looked bad. So for me, I want better use of my money. And there are a lot of important players like Cam McKenzie who I didn't have. I have to have him in. I have to get him in. It is what it is, and it frees up money to make other trades. So for me, Hopper is hopping off my team.
All right. Before we head over to the next game, a couple of the rookies for Carlton. So Hollands did quite well, 56. I thought he had the opportunities to do things, just didn't execute them as well. So expecting some big scores from him soon. And then Cowan as well. So just some hamstring tightness there, but should be ready to play this week, hopefully anyway.
I mean, I love these 2 kids. They did so well for Carlton. Yes, they didn't score a lot in this game, but you got to look at the players. When you're watching a game, it's not just all about what do they score points-wise. It's all about their role and how they performed in that role as well. And from the eye test, both of these guys did really well. Hollands had 81% time on ground. Endurance is his forte. And I can't see him losing that wings position. He did a really good job. And I can see him maintaining that spot. 56 points off of 11 touches is quite good. And you look also at Cowan. Yeah, he only had 53% time on ground, but he had 6 contested possessions playing at halfback. So I think Voss would really rate a player like that. Loved what he brought. Very highly touted. Will be good for the run. And I think he's also, cemented his spot in the team. Carlton definitely had worse players than these two.
Yeah.
So it's good. We're going to have reliable bench cover with these two.
Yeah, definitely. And they should chug along and score some points. I don't think you want to be playing either on field unless you've got injuries, but pretty happy with sub 200k players there.
Yeah. All right, so that's Richmond Carlton to a close. We get to the next game.
Remember, guys, if you guys have any questions as well, chuck them in the comments, and we'll feature them here and answer your questions as well. So, don't forget about that.
Geelong Collingwood. Geelong started well and then got absolutely ran over the top by Collingwood. They absolutely stormed them, didn't they? Yeah,
no, definitely. It's I think they were winning for 3/4 of the game, and then Collingwood were just like, nah, not happening, mate. Let's turn the Jets on. Let's show why we're so good. I'm actually a little bit worried about Geelong. Something similar happened to them in the preseason game. The team hasn't looked like much worse. But boy, oh boy, they didn't look great in this game, did they, Joe?
No, they didn't. And it's weird, and things are a bit awkward when you've got Zach Tui kicking your first 2 goals, I think it was. So whoever put money on Zach Tui for first goal kicker, they made a lot of money, I think. Jeez, very, very interesting. But it all went downhill a bit slower than I thought it was going to, because Tom Stewart went down really early. You know what I mean? Like Tom Stewart, he should have. Yeah, 12% time on ground. That was brutal. You know what I mean? Like in the first quarter, he's already gone down 3 kicks. You know what I mean? 18 points in the first quarter. You know what I mean? Like he's such a clean, good player, and he's so important for them. He's their general down back. So I'm surprised it took them that long for them to run out of gas and really collapse compared to Collingwood, because they also had an injury during the game to SDK, who also went off the ground and got some strapping and stuff. So, look, it was all in all a very unfortunate game for Geelong. But I agree, man. There are worries about them.
Yeah, it kind of really depends as well how the rest of their team lines up. I don't know what their depth's like at the moment, but I think Ollie Henry's had a few injuries too. So, kind of let's wait and see. But their backline could be a little bit more depleted. It's almost a bit of a transition time for them. Obviously, coming off what they won the premiership, so they've got kind of that to stand on, and it's given themselves some time to play around with like the markers, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's you don't want to be the team like Geelong that comes in, and if they lose the next 2, it's a bit of a slog back up to the finals, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think they've realized that their team isn't in the best situation right now, which is why they've gotten younger in getting Bose and Bruin. But I don't know if they genuinely understand what they're trying to get out of this season, because they've still got the likes of Hawkins, who is really old. They've still got Isaac Smith. They've still got some really old players. And they almost seem reluctant to well and truly give these younger players like Tanner Bruin the responsibility to just embrace and dominate in that midfield. I think he was the biggest ticket, apart from Stewart, of course, that people were really looking at and had him as a mid-pricer. And you look at that time on ground, 64% time on ground, 47% disposal efficiency for a score of 58 Supercoach. You know what I mean? Like it's not what you wanted to see. You chopping him up?
Yeah.
He's getting the chop. He's getting chopped.
He's chopped. Yeah, it's not great. 300k for a guy that's spending 64% time on ground, only scoring at 60. Like, it's just not good enough.
And I understand people might be saying, "Oh, but Will Brodie has low time on ground." Yeah, but Brodie played exclusively in the guts. When Brodie is on the field, yes, he's on the field for a low period of time, but you know exactly what his role is, and that is the in and under stuff. He plays in bursts. What we saw from Bruin is not that. What we saw from Bruin was he started there, but was moved out onto the wing after Parfit was subbed in for Tom Stewart. Now, Parfit for Stewart is not a like-for-like trade. Swap. It almost looked like they were planning on subbing, Bruin out at the start of the game, which is why they brought Parfit in. So there are a lot of red flags for Bruin, and why, for me, he is also on the chopping block. Again, it might be reactionary, over the top, but I just didn't like what I saw. When he's on the ball, he's great. But when he's off the ball, he can't score. It's not his game. He has to be on the ball.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've got a couple of questions here. So who do we trade out first, Ash or Wayne Miller? For me, it's probably neither at the moment. Probably Wayne Miller first. Sorry, not Wayne, Ash first. Wayne Miller looked like, we'll go over the St Kilda soon, but Wayne Miller looked like he had the role. It was more just kind of facilitating, like Supercoach-wise, what was going to happen. So, not running out and doing kick-outs, that kind of thing. Poor disposal efficiency versus actual role. Gets those two things worked out, he's popping out at 85 easy.
He was also really unlucky that Fremantle were playing such a degenerate style of football, just kicking the ball backwards and forwards between each other. I mean, we're going to get to that game, the Fremantle-St Kilda game. It's the last game. But I suppose I might just jump there ahead. Look at these defenders. Look at these defender scores for Freo. 171, 154, 137. And Clark, what does he do? Mercer on a wing. Wingers work their way back as well. Look at these bastards. I swear. There's no other word other than degenerate bastards. What is this bull crap? Look at the marks. 13 marks, 20 marks, 13 marks, 11 marks. They were just playing kick to kick in the back line. Can you believe it? Yeah, Nazaya was set up to fail from this style. He was always going to be up against it.
Yeah. But look at his kicks, right? 17 kicks, 1 handball. So he's going to score a lot from that. It's literally just a disposal efficiency. And when he did his kicks, like, he would run out and not run outside the box either. So you don't get the score in Supercoach for the disposal. So, yeah.
Anthony, you got to tell Nazaya, play on out of the kick-in. You got to tell him, we need the Supercoach points, mate.
All right. Let's check out the Magpies. We've got one more question here before we go. DP's got Tom Powell at F5, so he's not happy with his role. He did play decently, but players like Zeeble and Horne-Francis are a similar price. It really did feel like Powell had the best time of his life in the second part of the game. I agree with you, though, that there is some other options at around the same price. So for me at the moment, it really just depends on what you've got to fix in your team. So I've got a lot of mid-prices I need to fix and a lot of rookies. Now, with rookies, you wait a week because if they score big this week, like round 1, they score big. Round 2, they score like a 10. If you brought them in early, their cash gen's just tanked. Like they just can't do anything. Versus mid-prices, if you can afford to wait a week on them. You kind of know, hey, was Horne-Francis's massive score a fluke or did he do it really well? Is Zeeble expected to do this role every week or are we waiting for something else to change in that back line? Just the way we set up against West Coast, they were bombing the ball in, things like that. So just a wait and see with those two. And it really just depends on what you have to fix in your team. But get ready to pull the trigger. This year is going to be dominated by guys at 300K around that price, like Powell, Tom, Francis, Zeeble. We've got Setterfield and a few other guys coming up as well later on that we'll talk about. So be expected to make changes at that price point. Don't have favourites. Just go off Supercoach scores. Wait and see. Hope that answers your question.
Very nice. All right, so I'd say Sava was probably Geelong's best on field. I know he scored a 55.
It's really interesting too because with Stewart going down, does he get more of a role there? No Henry, no Stewart. Depends on what happens to De Koning as well. Could end up being a pretty cheeky shout for those people that had him.
94% time on ground. That's very impressive. Okay. 83. He had 4 clangers in there as well. So certainly it's possible for him to have a lot more. And for his price with ruck status as well, you never know. He could be one that is going to be guaranteed game time. And I thought he looked really good for his first game in defense, and they were under siege as their midfield died. I liked what I saw from Asava. He passed the eye test to me. I don't know if our viewers feel the same way and wanted to use a trade to get him in, but he looked good.
Yeah, definitely. They need that kind of big defender as well, so pretty happy.
Yeah, someone else looked really good. Jordan DeGoey. Are we going there? Are you going with DeGoey? Or are you going to stay away from him?
It's interesting because he's the right price to do really well for us in Supercoach. The right price to, if he comes out and scores another big point this week, he could force himself into a lot of teams, which would be really quite interesting. Kind of that cheaper midfield premium. If he pops out another 115, 120, you could almost sideways him to an Oliver or a Laird in a couple of weeks as they drop in price and as he skyrockets up. So, you know, it's a bit of a shout, Joe. I never really thought about him preseason, but there's been a few people we know from the Discord that have. And yeah, these type of players.
I mean, he had 3 goals, right? He had 3 goals with it. So 3
take
goals.
Away 3 goals, scoring 100. Like,
100 points, 25 disposals, 8 marks. Do you get 8 marks every game?
Depends.
That's a lot of marks.
Yeah.
So, look, he looked really good. He looks very explosive. He looked good in the preseason game as well. You might want to sit back and look at him for another week to see how he does against Port Adelaide. Strong opposition with a good midfield themselves. Going up against Jason Horne-Francis in the midfield, who also tore it up last week. Who is the real gun exploding breakout player and who is the fraud? Stay tuned on Saturday, 1:45 or something p.m. on the MCG. Get me there.
Yeah, man. You should get you to do the promos, Joe. You'll be right. Moving down that Collingwood list. So Pendlebury 129, really, really good there. Stats not hugely impressive either. He got a goal, 10 contested possessions, but wasn't like Tom Mitchell's score, dominated that way. Just really, really clean. Oh, yeah, and your 8 tackles too. I think that's probably what's done it. 8? It's like 3 points for a tackle. So that's something like 24 points-ish. So, maybe I missed out on him. Dacos is the one for me. So we've talked about it off air quite a lot about how good Dacos is. The kid's a freak. And I think a lot of people, myself included, were shied away by the Finn McGuinness tag. If he didn't play Hawthorn in the preseason, I think his ownership with the people that I know would have still been as high as what he was coming into that game. He showed why. Teams will say, oh, we'll put attention on him. Well, I don't know if that really works for Dacos there. So it is what it is. But, yeah, I think there's... Watch my team preview. That's all I'm going to say.
He's a shameless player. I feel like he's a shameless. The way he just streams past someone. They don't need to give him the ball. They are open. But the way he just runs up to them, give me the ball, give me the ball. He's always demanding the ball. It's like he's like a drug addict. He needs the ball in his hands. He needs to be sniffing the ball. I don't know what it is, but he's just running. He's just running all over the place. The guy has got a tank like no one else. It's insane. And I don't know. I'm not going to go with him this week. There are reports that Port are going to put some attention into him this week, Big J.
Well, they put attention on him. But everyone says they're going to do that. And then DeGoey and then all these other players do really well. And then they're halfway through the game, they're like, oh, better take the attention off him. Other people are dominating now. So the thing with Dacos is he's so versatile as well. So plays backline, sure. Plays midfield, sure. Runs up the wing and does half forward, sure. So one of those players that the ball will always be in his hand. If he has a stinker this week, he should bounce back the following week. So the good thing about Collingwood versus some other teams similar in North Melbourne is they've got enough talent across the board that negating one player doesn't do as much. And the amount of mature bodies they've got in there as well means that they should be able to take the pressure off him. Now, they have had a few injuries, like we'll talk about it a little bit now, but yeah. I mean, you stop Dacos, Tom Mitchell goes big. You stop Dacos, to go in, Pendlebury do big. So I don't think it's as viable as what people are talking about. Maybe they get a run with roll with Dacos instead of kind of tagging him into the ground. Tom Mitchell did really well. For his price, he's definitely a watch and see. If he pops out another 110, I mean, that's 600K that he's valued at that point. So if you want to, grab a Merritt or someone else, or even an Oliver or Laird, if Tom Mitchell pops out another big score, you're pretty happy, right?
Yeah, but you also keep in mind that he had 2 goals to go with that 110. So how often do we see Tom Mitchell kicking a couple of goals a game? You never know. Maybe in this Collingwood midfield, with his pushing up and the way they love to run the ball, you never know. He might end up presenting and getting a goal or 2 every game to supplement that sort of score. But yeah, this is not the Tom Mitchell of old. It's a different one, different role, different team. But, if he's in a winning culture, winning games, you never know. He could be a shout, but I don't think he's going to be top 8. Someone who was really intriguing, I think, that really benefited from Cox copping an injury mid-game, a knock to his leg, is Darcy Cameron. He started to have a lot more ruck split, and he ended up turning up with 103, 29 headouts, mate. This is, for all those people, good. we all paid up 500K for Marshall. You could go a little bit cheaper and get DPP, perhaps, in a DC, Darcy Cameron?
Yeah. Look, he did really well. Going off preseason reports, it looked like Mason Cox was going to share a bit more of that ruck time. Yeah, it is what it is, right? I don't think he's going to have 54% disposal efficiency either. So, 54%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a wait and see, really. He could be a pretty cheeky trading option next week for you, even just to fill out that forward line if you've got some other players there.
Yep, correct. Was anyone else of note here in Collingwood? Not really.
Injuries for me. So Taylor Adams went down, Jeremy Howe went down, broke his arm. Could lead to some rookies kind of getting played there in those positions, depending on what the backline mix looks like.
I think Billy Frampton just slots right into Jeremy Howe's spot, I'd imagine.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. So that was that game. We now make our way to your mob. They got a nice gutsy win. It was close. It was down to the wire. Heart was pumping, but Clarko is victorious in his first outing. How did it feel?
Pretty good. I haven't actually been excited about football for a very long time. Being a North supporter there, you kind of expect the 110 drummings every week, that kind of thing. And to see the boys do so well was pretty exciting. Heart was in your chest. I think I left and wasn't able to watch the TV for the past 2 minutes of the game as we held on, which is something to talk about as well. But yeah, bloody amazing. Clarko effect comes in. The one thing I will say is the boys looked like they wanted to play versus what we've done in other years. So they held on, they kept going, they tackled, they did all these other things versus in previous years where it would have just been like, oh, West Coast came back, yep, steamroll straight through, They don't have that fight, whereas now they have.
And that fight was led by LDU. What a star. 32 touches, 5 tackles, 87 time on ground, 10 clearances, and he ended up with a monster 143 Supercoach points. Do you reckon this guy is viable, or do you think he's not yet consistent enough to be able to pump this out or every week?
It's a wait and see for me. Just to, I guess, like I said, wait and see. There's really good signs. Maybe next week if he pops out another big score and you have to sideways someone who you've paid up for. Or if you want to, go 2 mid prices to a premium and someone else, here's a real value option there at that kind of mid 500K mark. Some of the moves he did on the West Coast players were phenomenal. And then to kick a goal as well, it looked beautiful, man. I'm pretty happy.
In strong opposition, Freo away at Optus Stadium. If he's able to back it up, then he that it will be really impressive up against the likes of Brody and O'Meara, Brayshaw. It's a good midfield over there at Fremantle with a great ruckman as well. So if he can pump out a similar score, then he's going to be insanely good.
Yeah, I can't complain. Move down the list. So Harry Sheasel, we spoke about at the start. Someone I managed to get in. Someone Joe will be getting in this week, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Freaking beach. I hate the beach. Why do beaches exist? Stuff summer. I hate summer. Let it be winter all the time. Then I don't have to miss out on these incredible rookies. Stuff the heat. Oh my God. That was bad. That was so bad. But he'll be in. 100% he's in my side this week. 100%.
Yeah. I think he'll be in a lot of people's. I didn't realize his ownership was something like 50% before the game. And then during the game, people were like, yeah, he's highly owned. I'm like, what? I've never heard anyone talk about him. Obviously, people showed why and things like that. Just won the Rising Star for this week as well. So pretty amazing there for him.
I mean, no surprises, right? I mean, shock horror. The kid got, 34 disposals and 9 marks for 114 Supercoach points.
600 meters gained. Look at that. Is 3/4 of the way to a kilometer there. So it's pretty amazing under Marvel.
Yeah, unbelievable. In that scorching furnace at Marvel, because it was a hot day and they wouldn't open the roof. It was a bloody air fryer in there, and he just was super crispy.
Moving down the list, so McDonald, I think, similar to the other game we showed before, where the defenders did really well. That was kind of North Melbourne's talk this week. Uniacke probably wasn't that pick, but Sheasel, McDonald, Zeeble, all defenders. McDonald's not really viable in Supercoach, but the guy underneath, Jack Zeeble, looks to be playing a similar role. I'm waiting off a little bit, contemplating what I want to do with him. Could end up being a keeper at that price and at that scoring as well if he's back to hundreds. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mackay when he comes back. Does he move Zeeble around? Do they keep Zeeble in the same type of role, that kind of thing? I don't think it affects Sheasel as much because Mackay doesn't play halfback, but that interceptor, kick-out type role, Zeeble definitely does play, and he played in this game. So they could kind of cross over a little bit in scoring there. And even with Aiden Core and stuff coming back as well. We'll see what happens. There's not really anyone else super relevant from North Melbourne. So Comben did really well, ended up taking ruck time as well. 123K. We'll see what happens next week with Goldie coming back. If it's a similar scoring level, he could be a shout for you guys to pick up in that forward line. The kid's a freak. We saw this game, what he's done, third or second game of AFL, now thrown in against, ruckman, I guess, not established ruckman. Nick Mack didn't play, but against ruckman. Moving down the list, Tom Howe.
You gotta say what it is. Shit. Absolute shit ruckman who lost to Hugh Greenwood in the ruck contest.
Hey, I'd lose to Hugh Greenwood in a ruck contest too. So
come on, man, that is unbelievable. Poor Ben Cunnington. Before we go, they've got Ben Cunnington, man. It's so sad. The hope, the dreams, the possibilities. Unfortunately, he's too old.
What happened with Hopper as well? Yeah, the problem with Hopper.
Exactly. Yes, Swizz. Yes, thank you. Very high quality, the highest of quality rucks over there at the West Coast Eagles. It's sensational. Oh my God. Hugh Greenwood, exactly. He's become a viable pick all of a sudden. Hugh Greenwood, ruck status. Let's go. But the game's too fast for Ben Cunnington now, unfortunately.
He played his role. I think he should have got a couple of goals at least set up. Really strong marking target still, which is it's facilitating the north midfield there and the north forward line. Got Godo, got Phillips as well as rookie options.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we can move to the West Coast side. In terms of relevance, I don't think many people own any of these guys. Let's be real. Probably Dom Sheed was one that a lot of people that all of us were on. Yeah, I saw it. He had 77% time on ground, 10 contested possessions, 25 touches. Look, you watch Dom Sheed play and you think, oh my God, how is this guy still in the AFL? Like, he's such a vanilla player. There is nothing to sing home about, really, whatsoever.
His CBA numbers were crazy. I think he was on something like 80 or 90% CBA. So in the game when they needed him, he was there. But I totally agree with you. Like, it doesn't look overly impressive. I'm glad that me and you jumped off that ship a little bit.
Yeah, I can't see this happening all the time. It's not every week he gets to play against the shit North Melbourne side. No, I'm just joking. You guys are in the 8. You guys are in the 8. I respect you. I respect it.
Let's go.
Not top 1 though.
That's all right. That's okay.
Ruben Jimby, my God,
Yeah.
he showed why he is in everybody's side. This kid is probably, arguably, their best player almost at this point on the weekend. Like, you look at the tackles. 12 tackles. 12 tackles. And he only had 53% disposal efficiency. So clearly he worked his ass off. He's got the size, he's got the frame, got the body. If he could clean that up, that disposal up a little bit, then he's well and truly on track to scoring us some big scores. He's still ended up on 85. So you got to love this kid with DPP. Very, very nice. They've got a good one.
Yeah, he's saved me a couple of times already. Having him in the defense and then being able to swap him into the midfield is really important because there's a lot of really cheap defenders that we can go for. So, yeah, he's really, really good. Almost looks like similar to McKenzie, one of the best players on the team already. So, for a starting player, that's fantastic. Moving down that list, Tom Cole is definitely a shout. 80, 78 super coach, better than a lot of other players, only comes in at 180K. So, yeah, definitely someone to look at if you're looking for a downgrade option and you have a McKenna or someone else already. Better player than a Wilmot or a Cowan, I think, and best 22 playing on field. So really, really good there. Probably a bit of a slower burn, but if you want someone who's going to play every week outside of injury, yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you expect West Coast to be dominated and to be rolled a lot, then Tom Cole's going to get quite a bit of delivery, right? And as you can see, 8 marks, so he gets a lot of he gets a lot of points just from marking, and they like to chip it around in the back line. The Eagles and Noah Long, I think, is another one that people have on their teams. I know I have him. Absolute gun. Really exciting to watch. 63 points playing forward, but he only kicked 1 goal to go with it. So it's not like he is overly reliant on goals to be kicked in order for him to score well. 10 disposals, 3 tackles. He had 67% time on ground. Again, not a lot. So you can see there's a lot to work with when it comes to Noah Long. 117K rookie, mid-forward, and 4 clangers as well. Exactly. So it's really impressive. He's one that I think a lot of people, if you're looking for a cheaper option, and as Swizz says, he's an absolute live wire. Jimby, he's a jet. Tom Cole, solid. Long, an absolute live wire. I wish I could say the same thing about this guy.
Yeah. For a guy that was basically in everyone's Supercoach team at the start of the year, Chesa did not impress. That wing role wasn't really that effective for him. I know Jaden Hunt played the other side, but yeah, he's almost a swap out target this week. I'm going to give him another week, as I spoke about at the start of the video. Like, hey, rookies, give them 2 weeks. Trade out your mid prices and stuff that you're not happy with first. So he could come out and score a 120 this week, and you'd hate yourself for swapping him. But
he had an interrupted pre-season.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Cool. So that's that game done. We then move on to Port Adelaide versus Brisbane. This was a bit of a shock to me. I didn't expect Brisbane to get rolled by this much with their additions. That was very, very surprising. I thought Brisbane's additions were more significant than Port's additions. But when you look at the scoring, I was very wrong.
Yeah. As you say, Josh Dunkley and a few of these other players came in, did really well. I guess it's kind of just comes down to teething problems as well. Port Adelaide came out, went bang at home. I think that under Hinkley, they've got some real things to prove this year, and they obviously showed that in this game. Horn Francis and a few others, did really well. But Brisbane, I just don't know what happened. Was hoping to have DR on the show today to kind of speak to us about Brisbane, but that's fallen through a little bit. I think Ashcroft not doing so well. I mean, look at that. 2 players in their whole team under 100, over 100 points. You don't really see it, right? They're half-back, kick-out guy, and then probably their best defender, best midfielder there as well. The big thing about Brisbane is that with Lachie Neale scoring a 95, similar to a Laird we'll talk about in the next couple of games, these guys that are priced so expensive are going to tank in price, and it's going to be fantastic for us as well. Hey, Joe.
Don't say that. I don't like that. None of this price tanking business. My emotions were tanked after that game. Let's not talk about that now. What I found more surprising, look at this. Dunkley only had 3 kicks for the game. 3 kicks, 16 handballs. That is bizarre. Like, you're not using Dunkley at, they were really well contained. It was actually really impressive. Poor Adelaide. You gotta love. This guy could really be forcing himself into everybody's team. If I'm waiting a week to see how he does on the big stage, MCG, the biggest of stage against Collingwood, massive supporter base, dentist, funding the dentistry industry all over the country. It is very, very impressive. I'd love to see how he does in the big lights. If he can pump out a big score at the MCG over there as well, then he's going to be in my team, probably ahead of Zeeble even, because an inside mid role with 10 contested possessions, 3 tackles, 2 marks is not groundbreaking. These stats aren't groundbreaking. He had 25 touches, 2 marks, 3 tackles. You compare that to De Goey, who had 8 marks and 3 goals. You know what I mean? Like, it's this sort of output is a lot more reliable and consistent than what De Goey was putting out. So I'm standing on attention here.
Yeah, it is for me too. I'm going to give it another week like you are. But at that price, at that kind of level, if he's going to take majority mid-time, like I spoke about in my team review, you have to kind of be forced to pick him. Obviously, I don't like him because of the North factor and what's happened there. But, Supercoach is Supercoach, right? And if someone like De Goey, who's had some off-field issues, is in people's calculations, then Horn Francis has to kind of be with me in the same right. Missing out on someone who's going to be pumping out 110, 120s every week at mid 300Ks is a bit silly. It could kill your season in like round 3 if you don't have him and he keeps going with that scoring.
Yeah, exactly. And you might think that he's cheaper than Zeeble. And Zeeble, as you mentioned, might not have that exact same role when you got people still to come back into the back line. So who knows? At this point, it's still a wait. Yeah, and DPP, exactly. DPP as well. So it's a wait and see. That's why you don't do it now. Have a look and see which one is the one to jump on at the end of round 2. Time is on your side when you're making these decisions. There's nothing worse than jumping on Horn Francis now and having him drop a 70 or something. But it's hard to say that after this sort of performance against a very strong opposition. You know what I mean? Like, Brisbane are no joke. So I'm telling you, man, we're on Horn Francis watch this week. That's for sure.
Yeah, as sad as it is to say, could be a viable option in Supercoach. Against Port Adelaide, we'll see what happens. I don't think they've got a tagger, which could lead himself to scoring quite well again. But a few more mature age bodies and things like that might push him around a bit in that midfield.
Yeah, Zach Butters doing Zach Butter things, Rosie doing Rosie things. You actually got the points. You got coaches' nominations, coaches' votes for that game. It just goes to show Rosie's a classy player. I think what he does on the field doesn't always translate into excellent Supercoach scoring. It's just a beauty to watch, poetry in motion a lot of the time. So, but you're sure that he's a main cog in the midfield, and it says here that he was playing pure midfield, which is what you want to hear, right? 97 points off 23 touches is beautiful.
Pretty
And he's
good.
tackling 6 tackles.
Yeah.
Bellissimo.
I'd be a little bit worried as well. When Boat comes out, it might change that forward line up a little bit. But yeah, Horn Francis, from all reports, got a lot more CBAs than the other two. So it might be a case of Butters and Rosie playing that high half forward role again, running to the midfield, and then, kind of taking over that way. So just have to be careful.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. What else have we got here? Who else is really important? I mean, you've got Lysette and Forget 87 points against Big O. It's not great, but it's also not too bad. But when you consider that their midfield well and truly got on top, 87 points isn't something to scream about. If he was a genuinely good ruckman, this 87 in a smashing like this should be well and truly over 100. It's not something that really inspires a lot of confidence. And that's it, I think, for Freo.
Yeah.
For Freo? For Port.
86. So something to just look out for there. Played a bit of half black. I think you've rotated through the wing as well. So always one of those players that has a super low DT and a super good super coach score, which is indicative of his really good efficiency. So, it might have just been the fact that the ball wasn't in that back line. He could have easily come up and scored almost 100. So if you've got him in your team, don't worry too bad. When they're tested a bit more, then he'll score a lot more. Yeah.
Now, I'd say this is awesome, but and this meters gained is quite bullshit. Excuse the French, but that is bullshit. I can't believe it. But you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Port Adelaide kicked 18 behinds that game, and Rich had around 80% of those kick-ins, and the other 20% went to Connor McKenna. So I wouldn't. You're not gonna expect this sort of nonsense every week. Not every team is as notoriously inaccurate as Port Adelaide is. And he's also too old now. So I wouldn't rush to the score and be like, get him in my team right away.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's probably around the right price mark to do a lot. But as you say, that I think the biggest problem with Brisbane is that he is relied on still so much. So if they had some other people running through, I know Kadeem Coleman was the guy that was supposed to do it. Connor McKenna, we can see a 93 as well. So similar type scoring. But yeah, it's just bonkers. Port Adelaide.
It's really good. No, it's good. Yeah, it's good that Connor McKenna has really come out and done good. Yeah, you don't have him. Obviously, you're gonna get him in. You're gonna get him in. Bomber supporters know what they're gonna get from him. We saw it a lot up close and personal. And he just provides that point of difference that they really need. They lack that speed off half back. And he had 20 disposals. 1 goal as well, 6 contested possessions for 80% time on ground. So you can see that he's got the tank, he's got the legs, and someone that I think should be best 22 every week based on this sort of output. And Kitty Coleman once again gets injured. It's he had a head clash though with Dunkley, and so unfortunately this wasn't a soft tissue injury. This one, like he has been getting. But yeah, you never know. He could miss this week's game. What are your thoughts on this guy?
It's a hold for me. I think this is probably one of the hardest games he could have started the season on, just with how well Port Adelaide were and probably how out of position the Lions were. I don't think they thought that they were going to get dominated this hard this game. So give it a couple more weeks. I know Abs was talking about potentially trading off Ashcroft in his team review, that kind of thing. I think you kind of just have to wait in a couple more weeks. Slow burn potentially, but he probably just doesn't become the keeper that a lot of people are picking him to be almost. So I think Sheasel might become that player before Ashcroft does, which is fine. It is what it is. Well, that's
38% disposal efficiency.
Yeah, that's where all the scoring's gone. So if he brings that up to like a 60 or a 70, the kid's now scoring 80, and we're not even having this conversation. So it's going to happen. We know how good he is. Just bad game.
8 contested.
Pretty good too.
Yeah, 8 contested as well for a first year with 4 tackles. You know what I mean? Like that is these are good stats. These are good stats for the kid. He is really good, and I wouldn't be quick to jump off him to run away. You got to give him another chance. As you say, away from home, Port Adelaide came out on fire because you got to remember, Port Adelaide are playing for their coach's career. Their coach, Hinkley's been under the pump for a long time, and you know that inside the 4 walls at that club, they really rate themselves and want to achieve a lot. They made a few prelims. They haven't made it to the grand final. They know that they're capable, and that's why Hinkley's job is at risk. So they came out on fire with a point to prove, whereas Brisbane are coming in as flag favourites almost. So you could almost say that they almost expected the win to come because they were favourites because of their acquisitions over the preseason. I certainly wouldn't be quick to trade Ashcroft this week. Definitely hold the guy. And I would also not be quick to get rid of Darcy Wilmot. 51 points on a wing, 10 kicks, 1 handball. This is exactly the sort of game that you expect to see from a winger. Not a lot of scoring, but I think he's best 22. And he had 54% disposal efficiency. So again, if he can clean that up, it would be very good, very positive. So that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, Tom Cole looks like he was tripping over. Yeah, it's interesting, huh? I think just kind of these people who've come off injuries and come off kind of depleted seasons is how I'm going to word this. They get really nervous when they've got the ball. So I expect him to go into his body a little bit more. I mean, 78 off whatever disposals in a full game is still pretty good for a rookie. So, yeah, can't complain.
No, absolutely not. That's it from this game, right?
Yeah, I think so. We've spoken about Walmart. We've spoken about McKenna, Ashcroft, Lockie Neal as well, going to tank in price. So, expect to get him around that 600K-ish mark or a little bit cheaper. Jump on McKenna if you don't have him already. Port Adelaide. Miles Bergman's pretty good. So, I'm not sure price-wise. Let's have a quick check.
Bergman.
Yeah, I think he's fairly cheap. Could be a shout. The kid's pretty elite. I know a lot of people were looking at, maybe he's not a shout then, at 370K. A lot of teams are actually looking at poaching him from Port Adelaide because he's supposed to be a Victorian kid who was going to come back. So, yeah. Rosie and Butters watch as well. We want like 110s out of them. We want them at the top of the list. We don't want them like just scraping 100 because there will be players like your Horn Francis when the DPP guys come in that are going to be almost better options. So we could end up having to swap them. Obviously, today's game or this weekend's game was a bit different, but yeah, so just something to look out for.
Fair enough. And then moving to the next game, Melbourne versus the Bulldogs. My word, Tim English. Darts wasn't the play.
No.
It was
Winglish.
What? Tinglish? No, Whitlish? Yeah, Whitlish perhaps. Or Ingwit. No, Ingots. I don't know. I think we've had enough time wasting there. Yeah, English absolutely dominated, 134. There was never any doubt about his scoring capabilities. It was all about his durability. And I don't want to waste trades. Get this guy in to trade him out again. And I don't know, he could get injured at halftime, and that 134 could very easily have been a 60. You know what I mean? So for all the English owners, congratulations. You've had a great start to the year. Well done. I applaud you.
Just before we keep going, Jolipet was wondering, have we covered Tanner Bruin? Yeah, we did at the start in the Geelong game. Looked all right when he was around the ball, but seems to not have the confidence of the team, so they're not looking out to give him the ball. Went missing when he wasn't stuck in the guts as well, and basically didn't score anything for like a whole half the game. So he's out of my team at the moment. Same for you, Joe?
Yeah, and they had Parfit ready to go as the sub. Yeah, that just to me screams that he was going to be subbed out. And if you're going to sub out Tanner Bruin and he had that abysmally low time on ground, he might genuinely have a bad tank. He just might not have the fitness base ready to go. And that's, from what we could tell, that seemed to be the case. So for me, he's out. And he's up against Carlton this week. Carlton. That midfield is so good. And their wing is also really good. So, yeah, he's out for me. I need to get Sheasel in ASAP.
So let's keep on with the Bulldogs, right? We were doing them before. So Bont, Treloar did really well. Libber as well. So people who picked him up at mid 500k, you're laughing. Really taken on that Dunkley type role. 12 contested possessions. A lot of tackles. Get rid of those clangers, and the guy could be on 130s as well. So pretty phenomenal there. Bont and McRae are the two guys who we kind of have to worry about a little bit. I think McRae got relegated to a wing, even like half forward type role a bit throughout the game. And then Bont. So he was my captain, Doherty scoring 108, and then Bont coming in being a captain at 107. So it's not great. Moving down that list, Caleb Daniel did all right as well. People who did pick him. I don't think there was that many ownership-wise, but you can't 99, you can't complain. Moving down.
You can complain if you're a Bailey Dale owner, though.
Yeah, well, that's
this return to half back. Oh my lord! It just killed Bailey Dale. I'm sorry for all you Bailey Dale owners out there. You gotta jump ship as soon as you see Caleb Daniel named the half back again. You gotta run. You guys gotta go. Bailey Dale is dead as a pick. You got Caleb Daniel and Ed Richards playing back there. He's lost his distributor role. He's gone.
Yeah. He's in a bit of trouble with that Bailey Dale. Jump ship now before he starts tanking in price, because you know he will. Oscar Baker, 43, didn't look great. Hopefully he can pull himself back up. Otherwise it's going to be a slow burn rookie, which isn't what we want. Josh Bruce did all right too, 50. I think maybe more helped by Liam Jones being out. And he played in the back line, right, Joe? Just check.
Yeah, he did. You can tell that. That's the
the
defense.
Bruce.
Yeah, Josh Bruce.
Yeah. So maybe helped a little bit by Liam Jones being out, who burnt a lot of people, but seems to be fit for next week. So if he's selectable, he's selected. I think he's still the best player. Really worried about his scoring, though, because he was on like 5 points into the second quarter. So being a key defender, maybe he was playing on somebody, and that's why he didn't score. But
they were getting smashed. Melbourne came out.
Should have a bit of the ball then, right? If they're being smashed, he's a defender. So
you'd think so, but it's the way in which they were getting smashed in the midfield. Yeah. When you're playing one-on-one defense and the ball is just streaming into your forward 50 and you're scrambling, good luck. You could be the best intercept marker in the comp, but with 666 and Melbourne's midfield being as dominant as it is, he had a rough start. Don't get me wrong, and he had a couple of clangers as well. He's not as you know, someone can say here. Jolly Pet says he's not someone you can trust. You'll have clangers, and he already had 2 in that game. So he's going to be someone that will have clangers, but I think he's for that price. There's just not enough. There are no options cheaper than him, apart from McKenna and Jimby, that you can reliably field. You know what I mean? And he's got St Kilda this week as well. And St Kilda's forward line is very poor, and we've saw what happened with the Fremantle defenders, how big they went. So if he can play, then you never know. He could be in for a good score, good bounce back score against St Kilda. Oh, what's this? Matthew. Hey, I had to quickly jump on and glad about Laird. It was a disaster, Matthew. It was a freaking disaster. Is not enough to cover the catastrophe that was round 1. I still can't believe what I saw, but well done. You get your moment.
We'll speak about it in a couple of minutes. minutes too.
Yeah, exactly.
Toby McLean really hurt a lot of people. Some people did have him on field. Always was going to be a bit of a bad choice there. Unfortunately, Sheasel just straight swaps. So don't even think about it. Forget his score of 21. Pretend you had the 90 extra points on field and move on. Melbourne. So Cosy Pickett, freak. It's a shame that he's going to be out next week and the week after due to the bump. But fantastic there. And then Max Gawn as well. So the man's come back from, almost obscurity. I don't even think he had that much mid-time, that much forward time. I think he's run at 28% in the forward line. So we could end up having to pick a ruck. Yeah. Unless Grundy takes a bit more of that ruck time and forces Gawn forward, we could end up having to, pay up for Gawn in that ruck line.
It sucks a bit. And it's almost like you want him to keep scoring well so you can trade him in. But if he starts getting more forward time, he won't be able to score as much. So you're in this situation where you want him to walk this fine line where he's still scoring good, but playing forward. So we want him to hit, it's going to be really interesting. I think it also depends on the easier matchups. I would imagine they'd give, Grundy more hitouts, more ruck contests. Whereas when the game is there to be won, they're probably going to rely on Gawn more. This was a big-time match against strong opposition. The Bulldogs are a strong opposition. Yeah, they lost Dunkley and Lockie Hunter, but they're still a strong outfit with their forward line and their gun mids. So I can understand why Gawn rucked so much. You never know. You just got to hope that an easy matchup comes and Gawn just, you know what? Let's rest you forward, Gawn, this week. You know what I mean? Clary. Imagine having Clary instead of Laird. Where would you be right now? You know what I mean? Like 113 as opposed to 50.
You'd be a few more points ahead.
Yeah, you'd be a few more points ahead, and his score is not going to tank his price anywhere near as much as Laird, right? Like, so yeah. If those who are on Clary, congratulations. You picked the gun. You picked the star, who won't fall asleep like Laird did apparently on the weekend, which was very sad. Ben Brown, you can't rely on this every week as a key forward. Jake Lever, great game, but without Stephen May, so it was I don't think you can rely on that. Their entries inside 50 weren't the best, and he was well and truly on top. Tomlinson, again, not one that is really relevant. Petrarca and 97 is really exciting for people who are looking to bring him in, hopefully with some forward DPP at some point down the track. He's going to drop in price a bit, and he is historically known to really blow, to really pop off later, similar to a Merritt. Doesn't start the season on fire, I don't think, most cases. So it's going to be really exciting to get him in, perhaps. Chandler, the rookie, 123K rookie. My word, that was sensational by Kate. Forward pocket, 1 goal, 2 behinds for 93 points. That is sensational. It is really, really good. I think he could be firming to be a must-have rookie. He's going to make a lot of money, especially if he can back it up against the Brisbane Lions, who I don't think have the best small defenders. No. So he could also have a day out there as well. So keep an eye on him. He might be one of those. These first 2 weeks, you have to nail your cash generation moving forward. So you got to have Chandler on your watch list for sure next week. You got to have him in.
We'll talk about him tomorrow. Moving down that list, Jake Bowie wasn't the greatest, but still you'd be happy with an 84 there. Grundy really, really stunk this game. So sucks if people have picked him into their ruck line. And that's probably it, really. Joe McVee, one of the named players. Bailey Laurie as well, didn't do that well, got injured. So see you later, mate. These two are probably the ones on the chopping block. I think Chandler stays in. So it's really just a case of having to wait and see for next week if he can back it up with a decent score. If not, you can always trade him in later.
Yeah, you've got Salem to come back.
Two big scores.
Yeah, you got Salem and Viney will come back in straight for those two. And it seems like Chandler, if he can keep maintaining that, I mean, he's fighting with Bailey Fritsch for that position. So again, job security up in the air, which is why you got to wait for next week. I wouldn't jump on him this week.
Yeah, definitely.
We get to the Gold Coast Suns in Sydney. Gee, that was a really shit conditions. Very, very bad. Very slippery. Lots of repeat stoppages. And I wish I left this giant pencil as my captain.
Me too. He would have been phenomenal to have. I traded him out during Saturday's game. Just on Saturday, it was just like, yeah, Marshall down to Wits. Wits down to Marshall, 100K, whatever. Already cost me 60 points. So we'll wait and see what the differential is like for the rest of the year. But boy, oh boy, in these conditions, 51 hitouts, man. Like, I know he was playing nobody, but
Laddams.
51 hitouts. So it's not great. Matt Rowell did really well, kind of bringing back to what he was like a couple of years ago. The only problem with Rowell is he starts the season off on fire and then gets injured or something happens. So wait and see. 21 contested possessions is nuts.
That is bonkers.
Only running at 57% as well. So a couple more of that. Did quite well. I mean, 4 free kicks, 4 is not great. So, yeah. But
2 against, but 8 tackles.
8
tackles. Yeah. Like, a lot of the problem that we had with Matt Rowell is that he just has no outside game. The speed of the game sort of tends to leave him behind. If he's not getting the ball in and under, he's really not getting involved much within the outside. But he had 341 meters gained, which is not that different. A little bit shorter than Noah Anderson. So this could be the year where we could see a lot of consistent output from Matt Rowell. So here's one. Don't discard him. He scored really well against the gun Sydney Swans midfield. Now, of course, the conditions really suited him, and he had the ruck tapping it down to him really well. But I would certainly keep a close eye on him this week against Essendon at Marvel. It's obviously going to be pristine conditions under a closed roof, and Wits versus Draper could be an interesting ruck battle. I would certainly keep a close eye on Tuke Miller, on Matt Rowell, as well as Tuke Miller, of course, who everyone jumped off with the news of, oh no, his soft tissue injury, his hammies, and he pops off a 113. You know what I mean? Like all these guys, all of them are so much better than Laird. Oh, I hate my life sometimes, bro.
Oh man. I hate injuries, man. So we're going to pick up Tuke Miller, same as Lockie Neal and a few others, a bit cheaper, coming up round 6. It's shaping up that way anyway. So we'll have a look over the next 2 weeks. But, round 5, 6, 7, make sure you've got your cash ready to go because they're going to be must-haves. You're going to have them. And because they were so overpriced at the start of the season, you're going to get them a lot cheaper. Moving down that list, I don't think Flanders was really a pick. Bodie could be. 60 points basically is not too bad for a 120K. Ben Long definitely hurt a lot of people. I know some people picked him 350K and scored a 57, so similar to a 5 kind of really hurt. Charlie Constable there was the big one, I think, for me. Took a lot of kick-outs, really good kick-to-handball ratio, but just shanked it a lot. So I think that just comes from learning the role a little bit and being a bit more set in actual games. Hopefully he doesn't get dropped over the next couple of weeks. But you're looking at our teams, right? We've really got to go and nail the picks over the next few weeks because we could end up having to rely on like 3 or 4 bench players to actually score us the points and things like that versus what we really want this year. Last year we had a lot of bench players who got points. This year it's shaping up at the moment that we're not going to get that many. So, yeah. Sydney Swans, Joe, Dane Rampy. What was this comment from someone, where if I can find it?
We had a comment about, we did actually. We had a comment. I think it might have been Corey. Was it Corey that left that message about him maybe being, there he is.
Yeah.
Why are people picking Rampy at 330K over 6,000 teams? Think he's a trap. I do think he's a trap, but tentatively, I'm gonna say trap for now, and I'm gonna definitely say have a look at him. But I think it just so happened that the conditions really suited him well, And historically, this guy has shown that he has a ceiling, is able to score really, really well, but he's also shown that he also has a ridiculous floor. I forgot which year it is, but I'm pretty sure there was one year he went 150, and then I think he went, and 2 weeks later he scored like a 34 or something. So he's sharing a backline with a number of players like Lloyd, players like Florent, players like Blakey. You know what I mean? Like Blakey's not going to score you 63 every week off 18
No.
kicks. That's just I think Rampy probably ate into that. I think these three will share the points most weeks. It just so happened that the stars aligned and Dane Rampy ended up sucking up all those points this week. That's definitely not going to be the case every week, but he's now got a massive score in his 3-round average. However, it's only for round 1, which means that after the first price rise, it's going to be out. I wouldn't be one to be quick to jump on him. 6,000 people, that's what you call point chasing. You're not supposed to chase after points that have already been scored. You're supposed to be going after players that have great roles that are going to score you points moving forward. The points that have gone past, they're not going to get that 150. It's already gone.
Yeah, exactly right. So just wait and see with him. Similar to Horn Francis and a few others, last year a lot of people jumped on Bowie, which was fantastic for some, not great so much for me. But Rampy could be a similar situation. If he comes out and scores another another 100 or so, he could force himself into your team just for the fact that if you don't pick him up, you don't get a free premium in 2 weeks. So, just have to wait and see. He will almost become a Dacos type price if he comes out with another 110 plus. So, could be a bit of a freak, but we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Oh, Big J!
Ooh. Thanks. I don't really like cheese. Far out, man. That's the first one we've got.
I'm tearing up. I don't really like cheese, but you look like cheddar, mate. What is this beautiful color? Oh, love the content, boys. Thanks for your help with giving me advice about the team. Big J, of course. I don't give good advice. It's all him. Still devastated about Laird and Josh Kelly. Would it be better to downgrade Kelly to Callahan or another premium? Oh, wow. What do you reckon, Big J? This question is at you.
It's interesting because Kelly's currently injured, right? So he's going to miss next week. I think Callahan's a must-have regardless of where you put him in, just for the way his scoring was and the way he looked on field. He was fantastic. I don't know if Kelly's the right play, but if you've got someone else, like who did I swap? Like you've got a Tanner Bruin or someone and you've got DPP swing, you can definitely do that there. I'd be looking to sideways Kelly to someone else. If you weren't going to hold him for the 1 week that he was going to be out from, it's not great to do it. But if you do hold him for that week, he didn't look terrible. He looked like he was dominating in that game. The thing with Kingsley versus a few of these other players is that he comes in and he knows where players want to play and he knows kind of where they want to do their best role versus a Leon who kind of was trying to play for a specific type of game plan. I think Kingsley's come in and said, hey, I want success. I know how good this team is. Imagine if we came in after being like third last on the ladder and played finals this year. So Cornelio's playing his monster role as we've seen. Kelly did quite well up until the injury. So Callahan's playing his role as well. So I think Callahan becomes a must-have, as we'll talk a little bit in the next game. But yeah, I really feel like you can keep Kelly for a week if you've got coverage. His role looked perfect for his scoring. Did start off a little bit slower, but second and third quarter was fantastic. Unfortunately, the injury hit. If there's another option there that you're comfortable with, you can sideways him as well. So it's kind of just dependent on team versus anything. What do you reckon, Joe?
I agree wholeheartedly. One thing that I would say, if you're deciding to hold him, because I know there are people like Abs, Abs Magic, who I think looking to hold him you got to, I think, keep in mind that the injury that he's had is a concussion. Now,
Yeah.
concussions are really weird and unpredictable in that you could have also delayed symptoms and stuff. Now, I understand that there's this, the policy that they've got now, the 12-day policy, which means that he technically would be back in time for round 3, but he could still be suffering from it. And there are players that have had concussions that come back not the same. They have very inconsistent performances, and they just don't hit that level that they had initially. I know that was the case with Ridley last year. I'm pretty sure he started off the year before. Actually, he started off the season on absolute fire, going 130s every week. He got the concussion game, and he never got back to that level again. Of course, Ridley is playing an intercepting half-back role, whereas Kelly is playing on the ball mid. But I would assume that playing on the ball mid is more demanding than playing half-back. And then again, everybody is different. Not everyone has the same. Not everyone can come back the same. Is it the question of that's just an extra question mark that not many people might be thinking of? But if you find that there's someone like Callahan, who I think is well and truly going to have a great role this week in Kelly's absence and against favorable opposition, right? West Coast Eagles. That's why I'm looking to get Canelio in, because I think Canelio is going to go could go 170 odd perhaps, against them this week. So definitely is one. It just also depends what else you do with the money, whether or not that downgraded Callahan can also upgrade a rookie elsewhere. But thank you so much for the donation. Oh my God, that is unbelievable. First one.
Yeah. In thinking about it, because we've harped on a lot about these first 2 weeks being so strong and what Joe's saying about the concussions, if there was someone there that you'd be happy with swapping with, I think go for the swap. If you had like 50K, if you had like 30 or 40K in the bank, I'd go up to a Cripps. I think he's very good for the price. Jack Steele, not so much. Parrish, those kind of things. But Josh Kelly up to Cripps if you've got the money there. Looks to be on fire, looks to be fit. Agree with Joe talking about how the concussions can come back. And he's always been an injury risk, right? So it's been a case of similar to English, like we've spoken about before, being like, hey, this guy's going to be fit, you keep the risk.
Yeah, that was the big reason for me why I didn't start him.
He's already been injured, so yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like there's always something wrong with him. Even though things might look like, I don't know, I'm not a superstitious person by any means, but if there's anyone that was cursed, he'd certainly be on that list of most cursed players. Something always seems to go wrong with Kelly. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Whether it be bad coach, whether it be injury, whether it be freak accident, concussion, something always happens to Kelly, and it just ends up failing as a pick. So as much as logically I like the pick, and everybody else, so many people out there logically like the pick, but he's forever on the never again. He's on JP's never again list for a reason, right? So
100%.
It is what it is in terms of him. What you do with the money, yeah, I love Cripps as a pick, honestly. If I had an extra premium mid in my midfield, I'm pretty sure I said this a lot in the preseason before the season started, I'd certainly be on the Cripper train. I love Cripps. He didn't have a good game, as we already closed it. He went 120 plus in that game against Richmond, and it wasn't even a great game for him by any stretch. And as you know, Jolly Pet says here, Cripps has so much upside. He's so good, and he normally scores around 20 to 25 points more when he's got Pittina in the side. And as Jolly Pet, again, very thank you very much for backing us up here. He didn't have Mark Pittina in the side. They had DeConning, the young up and coming ruckman. If he had Pittina in the side, he's averaging 20 points more. So 121 was the final score. Thanks very much, Matthew. He's a Carlton man. Listen to Matthew. He understands. He had a quiet game for 121. So if you want to have a different premium mid, I think
Cripps is definitely the one.
Yeah, he didn't even kick a goal, and he's been adding goals to his game. So 100%. He definitely, if there's any primo mid, I don't really like Cheese. I think you're going to really like Cripps. I think he's your man.
Yeah, thanks very much as well, mate. Just kind of shell-shocked there. Never thought that would happen. So you've made our day.
100%. Like nothing quite like going through the lows of a Laird captaincy, and then you come back on the Monday. You come on the Monday, and you got someone dropping $15. So it's get out of here! Get out of here! Stop this! Stop it! You can't keep doing this, mate. Oh my lord! You do know we're reading all these comments. We share these. Stop. Oh,
bro.
You're making Big J cry even more, mate. Another one. My plan was Kelly to Finn and either Bruin or Liam Jones to either Dacos or Cogs. I was on Cripps train all preseason, jumped off Kelly last minute. Up the Dons! Up the Dons! Let's go. I never thought I could love you even more. Let's go. Top of the ladder. Here we go, ladies and
gentlemen. Kelly to Finn. Okay, and then Bruin to Liam Jones here. Yeah, so I think all of the guys you're going to bring in look to be keepers, or at least look to be good in their positions at the moment. So I want Dacos, I want Cogs, I want Callahan in my team. So that's who I've put in my team. It's just about facilitating really the cost of everything and being able to make it work. Like a Liam Jones, to a Dacos is fantastic. If you've already got McKenna, you can definitely make that happen. At the moment, right, the way I look at the game at the moment is that you want to put as many premiums as you can in your team. Because we're spending trades, that means later on down the line when we want to upgrade, we need more trades left, right? So my team at the moment, I started the season off with 11. I've now done 3 trades. I'm on 13. So it's a net gain on trades because even though I'm spending some now, I don't need to spend 2 trades to upgrade one guy and have 12, and then 2 more to have one guy and upgrade to 13. You need to look at it a little bit like that. If you can go 1-to-1, then it's not as bad. But I'd almost be going like a mid-pricer up to Bruin to Finn, and then see what you can do with the cash there versus, being able to downgrade to a rookie kind of that way, if that makes sense. You want to stay on par and stay with the pack. Obviously, making your team better is better, but you don't want to be like, oh yeah, Callahan, Warpool, all these guys are doing really well. And then later on down the line, not have enough trades to finish your team because you've now opened up yourself to having to spend 3 or 4 more trades to finish your side than what you were expecting, if that kind of makes sense. Callahan's fantastic though. Cogs and that's fantastic though. Cripps is fantastic. Liam Jones, I think, was always a bit of a speculation. For me, it's not as bad because I can go down to McKenna, but you're going to have to find 280K to go up to Dacos or Cogs. So, yeah. What do you reckon, Joe?
I agree. And I also just for him, just for I don't really like cheese. This is sort of the way I'm showing. This is just for you guys, just because I've been moved so much. This is sort of the way I'm planning out my next 2 weeks. I just think it's easier for me personally. I find it easier to visualize what sort of moves I'm going to make. I like putting it in an Excel spreadsheet like this. How much money I got in the bank, when I do this person, I have this much. And then I sort of can do that to look and see what moves I can do next week, how much money I need to do these things. So this could really help you. This is the way I do it, the way I sort of forecast and plan my trades. I do it on an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm going to give it a spoiler warning because I've been moved so much. This is sort of what I'm looking to do this week and next week. Starting with Hopper to McKenzie, Fife to Sheasel, Bruin to Cornelia. I already have that in the team reveal video, in the team update. That's already there. And then next week, it's which is live. You can certainly have a watch. I sort of already spoiled those moves then. And then I'm planning. So I have 31K in the bank, as you will see. And then I'm planning on flipping Laird to Dacos, Jones to Zeeble, or any other of the players that are popping off. I've just picked Zeeble because Zeeble is the more expensive of those mid-prices. Whoever does really well, it could be a Horn Francis in that spot there. And then I know I was saying Ashcroft is someone that is going to be a slow burn and could score really well, but I just think Callahan he's showing that he's going to score and he's going to score really well and really quickly. I just want a lot of points on field. I'm sort of behind the ball already points wise after week 1, but I think with this I'll well and truly jump back up and be flying up the and I'll have 63k. So I end up flipping 1 primo in Laird into 2 primos, 4 mid prices to 2 mid prices, and a rookie into 3 rookies. But these rookies are all must-have rookies. So this is sort of my my trades. And if Zeeble continues to get to score around 100, gets his defensive DPP, then in that situation, I would consider him to be a keeper at that point, and that's someone that I don't have to touch anymore. So thank you so much. This is this is just for you guys. He is, very moved. This is my gift back to you. Is sort of my plans for next week.
And the reason why you're trading Ashcroft is because your midfield's basically stacked already, and he's probably the only player that you can put on. You can lose off your field and not feel as bad about it because you've got not Callahan, we've got McKenzie on field. You're not going to trade him.
No.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
What is this? Hey, fellas, had a good week, but unsure on Bruin and Hopper being in my side. Have thought about downgrading one and upgrading one. Thoughts? Yes. I think these are the 2 mid prices that pose enough questions that, you know what, get them out. Hopper, hop off, piss off, get out of here. We don't want you no more. Bruin, he's already got sub risks all over him. We've spoken about him. Definitely, 100%. If you don't have Sheasel, you got to downgrade one to Sheasel. If you haven't got Cam McKenzie, switch someone with DPP. You got to get them in. If there are players that you simply must have, and I think Bruin and Hopper neither of them pass the test. I think you need to be aggressive. You need to free up that cash to hit the right people. There's no attachment factor anymore. If Setterfield, as much as I love him, if he didn't perform, he's on the chopping block. You can't have connection. You gotta pick the right ones. You have to be brutal. All right. So go for it.
Yeah, 100%. Did we finish off Sydney, Joe? I think we did, right? Oh yeah, Heaney's not a good pick. Don't pick Heaney.
No.
Laddams, don't pick Laddams. Parker looks okay. Otherwise, don't worry about him. But he's not really relevant unless he gets DPP again. So yeah.
Love you, man. Love you. I don't really like cheese. I don't like cheese, but I'm glad that you like us. It's great. Very nice. Love it.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for the support. Yeah.
Love it. All right.
We can talk about all these GWS players now too. Before we head off. So before the players price rise and fall, thinking about playing the player stock market. Who's the next priority? Dawson, Brayshaw, Hoppers, Flanders as trades. Okay. So the thing, if you're looking at price rises and things like that, what I try and do is look at who's got the value now and who's going to have the value later. So a guy like Dawson is great to bring in, but he's not someone like Dacos who's going to jump up, 100k if he keeps up his scoring, for example. He's not another one of these players or one of these mid prices who, scoring 110, but are valued at like a 50 or a 60. So that's the thing to really jump on these players now. And that's the thing that will help to accelerate your cash gen, accelerate your team value as well, which is kind of what we're looking for in Supercoach, because people are paying 500k for a player that you spent 350k for example. So Dacos for me in the back line's one of them. Ridley, if he keeps up his role, these guys who are valued at 80s and 90s who are now scoring 100 plus. Zeeble, Sheasel, all these guys as well. So something to look out for. It's good to start the 600k guys, and we should have. But at this point, when you're actually spending trades, you're bringing the guys that are going to jump up in price. Don't necessarily go for guys that are at their value. Cripps is a little bit different, like we spoke before, because he's scoring 120, scoring 115s, only valued as 600. So he's a really good premium score, a keeper for the year. Whereas this mid prices, you want to be able to jump up with them. And make sure that you've got the right ones as well, which is something really important with sideways tradings, things like that. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. What do you reckon, Joe?
I agree with everything you just said. See, you almost sound like you know your stuff, Big J. I don't know. Where have
Oh
you been
man,
my whole
it's
life?
like I've been doing this for a while, and we make videos, and sometimes we say things that work out that are true.
Sometimes we
But
should listen to ourselves, right? We should listen to our own advice, I reckon, sometimes. We might end up doing better.
on a Saturday afternoon when you get excited about bringing Sheasel in. If we just go over, let's go to which team do we want to do first? This is probably the most influential game of our season for Supercoach.
You'd think so.
Yeah, Cornelio.
Well, I think.
Let's do GWS, Joe. So
you reckon? You reckon GWS? All right, fine. We'll go GWS.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Cornelio, he's in my side. Get in right now. Right now. He's in. 20 kicks, 12 handballs, decent kick to handball ratio. Only 1 goal in there, 11 contested possessions, 8 clearances, 88% time on ground. This is good. This is replicable, and this should happen against West Coast this week. And he's going to fly in price. And if you don't have him, say goodbye to him, because he's got the role and he is killing it.
Yeah, he won't score 143s every week, but he should be able to pop out a 115. And that puts him at keeper midfield status. So being able to get him in the forward line is important. Obviously, we were talking about in the preseason having the awesome foursome. So Dunkley, Taranto, Rosie, Cornelio. People jumped off Cornelio. I did as well. I think Joe did too. After that, shocking preseason game. But the guy's back. Kingsley said, yep, you're going to play in the guts. You're going to make us win games, similar to what I was saying about Callahan and Tom Green and all these type of players. So he's definitely one there that you should be aiming to get in now, because what we were talking about with the player before about having grabbing people at their value now before you have to pay more for them later. Cornelio is going to be one of those guys that people in a couple of weeks are going to be spending 600K for, and you can spend potentially 550. So it's going to save you money across the board. And this year, it doesn't look like we're going to have a lot of money left. So, yeah, definitely one there. Tom Green, 134, continuing on with his preseason rise. So definitely there. His role looks really good. I think under the new coach, he's not going to be relied on as much, which means that he should be able to keep it up for the entire year. Last year, he kind of burnt out pretty quick, and I think that was the younger body. They've identified that a little bit, but also the focus on him to kind of be that midfield, which won't happen as much now. Yes, he won't get 15 contested possessions. Yes, he won't get 8 clearances every game, but he should be good for 100 plus, which is what we're looking for. The guys that grabbed him last week at 530K to start the season was fantastic. Callum Ward, similar score as well. A lot of handballs there, but I think did he play off the back line or was he midfield, Joe?
No, he was playing inside mid. So I think he had the most, either him or they were tied, but he had a lot of CBAs that game. And rightfully so. The guy's a gun. I just wouldn't go near him Supercoach wise. Toby Green, likewise, I wouldn't go near him Supercoach wise. You never know when he's going to
injury risk
suspension. Yeah. And you never know when he's going to just walk through an umpire or just karate kick someone. Like, you never know what he's going to do. So I wouldn't go there. Finn Callahan is one that I'm really doing all I can to get him in. I'd love to get him in this week, but I don't think I'll be able to, unfortunately. He's someone that I'm planning, as you might have seen in my spreadsheet, I'm going to get him in the following week. And yeah, as Jolly Pitt says, for some reason, the Giants like to use that wing. And even when, even with Kelly went out and he just stocks went up a lot, which was really good. So he's one that I think is going to be really worthwhile having for 244K. He's really underpriced. I mean, 244K, he's 244 divided by 5.5. He's priced at 44. So to make 150K, he has to go 74 points. And he's well and truly smashed that this week. And it's likely that he should beat that again this week, playing against the weak opposition in the Eagles. So it's going to be really exciting to get on him before his price rise, which should be a big one.
Yeah, definitely. And watching him play, he would run past, set up a 1-2 handball, click it again, throw it to the middle. throw it to the forward line. He didn't need to get CBAs, which I think was one of the big knocks about him, because traditionally guys who got CBAs were the ones that were going to score quite well. Whereas him on the wing, yes, he went absent for parts of the game because the ball was on the other side. But when it came to him, he was really efficient with it as well. So something to really look out for there. I mean, he's a second-year player and he played the game at 84% efficiency. So really kind of shows what his kicking was like. They love him on the wing. And now with some other players like Kelly out, as it's been said before, he might actually get a little bit more mid-time. So the wing's his. You're paying $240K for a winger who should pump out hundreds. Or maybe not hundreds. Let's say 85 plus. He's not going to be a keeper for the year, but right now, I mean, he could be 500K in a few weeks. So can't complain about that.
What do you reckon? Wait another week on Cumming or sideways to Dacos?
It's a tough one. If I had to choose, so the problem with Dacos is that let's say I'm going to wait. If I was in Stephen's choice, I would say wait, because Port Adelaide are saying they're going to try and tag him. Now, you don't want to have a game where Cumming scores a 90 and Dacos scores like a 50 or a 60 or a 70. I brought in Dacos this week just to fix up my structure and get another premium in, because I feel like I'm behind in premium numbers. But I think this week, wait, because Dacos is going to get attention. Grab Dacos next week. If you're still interested in doing the swap then, do the swap. I think Dacos at that price is very, very good, and you should have him. But yeah, definitely just wait and see another week there.
I agree, because if you look at the previous week in the practice game, the GWS halfbacks all dominated. So Whitfield had a big score, Ash had a big score, Cumming had a big score. But if you look at him in this game, Cumming only had 81, Ash only had 55, and Whitfield got injured on 40. So this is one of those weeks where it just so happened that a lot of the scoring chains that GWS were launching were not off of half back. This was a game where it seemed like they were really gaining dominance and ascendancy in the midfield and moving the ball forward through the midfield. And of course, that is largely thanks to Laird absolutely checking out and not being involved whatsoever in this game. Whitfield is out next week, exactly. So that's one less mouth off halfback to be eating into Cummings' score. Whereas when you look at a guy like Dacos, as mentioned by Big J, Port are saying they're going to put a lot of attention into him and try and tag him. So I know personally I'd probably go with the safer option, which is Cumming against the Eagles. So that's pretty good compared to Dacos, who might get tagged like a Pal Pepper, for example. So, yeah, I'd wait, save the trade, get some more intel, and then make the move the next week.
I think just looking at that GWS team, obviously Josh Kelly's not great for those who own him. I've spoken about him before, going to miss a week. A lot of content creators had him. I didn't jump on. Moving down that list, Himmelberg ended up playing a lot of forwards, so he's kind of a nothing pick, and then a couple of those injuries there. Run us through Adelaide, Joe.
Adelaide, Tom Doedee, top scorer, I'm not going near him. Josh Rochelle, 116, not going near him. Ben Keys, 102, not going near him. Riley O'Brien, 102, not going near him. Dawson, he's one that you might go near, but he's scoring. You've brought him in. There you go. Dawson is very good.
Pre-season game, started him round one, but yeah, he's in my side. So
yeah, he's in your side, of course. You've got the thing is when it comes to the defenders, you now have Stewart out. So the number of primo defenders out there that you really want to have has reduced by one. And if you're able to have Doherty, Dawson, and like a Ridley or a Dacos, those three premium defenders, and that is very nice. So Dawson's good. Sloan, 94. I had him in the YouTube in the content creator draft, and then I traded him out because he's going to be playing pure wing apparently, and freaking George's Fantasy Tech TV is playing pure wing. He said, playing pure wing. He said he's playing midfield. George, you cost me a 94 on field. It is what it is. Pedler looked really good. Again, one of their best you're paying up a bit more for him. But he's best 22. He's had a ripping preseason, 11 kicks, 2 handballs, and 6 marks. Not something I'd expect every week, but not too bad. Wayne Miller off halfback, 73. You don't want that from your point, from how much you're paying for him. Darcy Fogarty, 66, 2 behind, 2 goals. That's what you're going to get. He's a key forward. Himmelberg, who is he? McElhaney, key defender. You don't really want key defenders for that price. Rankin, 61. He didn't have a great role at Gold Coast. We didn't pick him. Why would we pick him now? Brodie Smith, not enough of the pill. Mitch Hinge. Where is Rory Laird? Why have I listed 83 million people and we're not up to Rory Laird? Why do you have 50 points, Rory? Why? 18 touches, Rory.
Joe Captain, by the way, guys, if you didn't realise. So
the captain, Rory, what have you done? It is what it is. They had to put a magnifying glass. They were looking for him. Someone had to call 000 and file a missing person report because Rory was nowhere to be seen. I couldn't believe it. I'm still holding him this week. I'm expecting and hoping for a bounce back against Richmond. Please, Lord. Please. I need a bounce back. But I will be trading him out the next week, I think, to improve my team everywhere else. I'll get a lot more points, and I will be spreading the love and looking to short him, sell him high, buy him back low. It is what it is.
700 Jordan is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. I shouldn't have started him. It is what it is. I've now learned moving forward. I remember last year I was complaining about paying up for Jack McRae, and now I'm complaining paying up for Rory Laird. I have now learned a lesson, guys. I'm never paying up for any one player. You can always learn. Never again am I paying up that much. Never again. Anything else you wanted to add?
Round 1 next year. I picked Bontempelli and McRae and Oliver. They're all 1,000 points, $1,000 each. Yep, I've got them in. The Adelaide team just looked really well. Looked really good. The only thing I would comment on them is that it did seem to be a bit like the Rankin and Rochelle show. So they'd grab it out from the middle quick via Berry or somebody, boot it forward. Those 2 guys would dominate that forward line. So if something like that happens in the second game, and Laird drops another stinker, it may be worth you guys who are watching to consider trading him out because he will drop in price quite a lot, but it could just be a game plan change as well. So I know they want to score quick. They want to do that. One of their strengths is that forward line. So being able to get the ball quick into there is really, really important for them.
Yes, 100%. So is that for this game?
Yeah. Jolly Pitt was just saying Luke Pedler might be a bench option. I think he's more an on-field option. I think this year's a bit difficult, though, because we've got Chandler coming in. We've got Comben, who could potentially be in as well. So Pedler is a bench option, yes. Best 22 is fantastic. Could get similar scoring every week and potentially mid-DPP throughout the year. Really like the pick there. So just kind of weighing up, do you spend the extra 60K now and have a cover for the whole year, or do you grab someone a bit cheaper, bank the money, and then look to upgrade later? So, see what happens.
Theo Manos wants to know Tom Green or Cogs. You got to pick one? Why only one? Listen to Raven. Both, mate. You need both, not one. I was in a similar predicament. Do I go Warple or McKenzie? No, you need both. Same thing here. You need both of them, mate. Best of luck. All right.
You need both. Tom Green first because he's cheaper, so he won't. You won't suffer that much from the price rise as opposed to a Cogs. But you really need both. Tom Green, I think, is the more stable scoring, even though this week he didn't score as high. He should be around like that 120 mark with the way he plays, or even like 115, 110. Whereas I think Cogs will feature around like the 110, 105, and then have some bigger games now. So Green for the cheaper price, but you want to have both.
Indeed. All righty.
So... Berbatron's going to be happy today.
I'll save you. I'll save you the rest of it. Yes, it's very nice. Very nice game. Top of the ladder. Flag Dons. Here we go. First time since 2013 that we've been top of the ladder. We're not going to go too much into this game. Absolute shit show, these people. Bottom of the ladder. Tanking. It is what it is. Sicily, though, is going to get so much ball over the course of this year. It's going to be ridiculous. He's going to be one that you're going to have to get in. Remind me, what was his price, Big J? Was it 624?
Yeah, no. Sinclair's 624. I think Sicily's a little bit cheaper, but not by much. I think he's more expensive than your Dawson Doherty type. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's number 2 on the list. Let me just quickly check. Keep talking and I'll jump in.
Because I'm thinking because I think 111 is, again, not 7 points more than what he's priced at. So he is looking.
624. Yeah.
It is 624? Okay.
Yeah.
I was right. He's priced at 113 and he scored 111. So this is actually decent for non-owners. He's going to probably drop in a little bit of price. Not a lot. Obviously, nowhere near as what Laird did is going to do. But he will drop in price a little bit. And I think he's absolutely going to be cemented as a top 6 defender, someone that you really are going to want to get into your side. 15 marks for this game. You know what I mean? That is absurd. With 93% time on ground, he's the captain. He's got the long sleeves. He's playing for most of the game. He had 5 clangers, so this could have been a lot more. And he's taken kick-ins, of course. Intercept defender. He repelled so many attacks. He's someone that I think we're all gonna need to get him in the side. I think he would certainly be higher ownership percentage-wise if he didn't have that inflated price tag compared to the likes of your Dohertys, your Stewarts, your Dawsons. But he's still someone that I think is going to be a reliable scorer for you. 110 plus, I think, for sure. Just on sheer supply.
The ball's going to be down there a lot. And these type of players, we know with Zeeble, one of the strengths of him is that the ball's in the back line a lot. The ball is going to be in the Hawthorns' back line a lot. They're not going to win many games this year. And being able to jump on him now is potentially it can really work out for you, or at least make him one of your first upgrade targets. You need Sicily at some point in your team.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, wait, just a quick one, BJ. We've got another question from I don't really like cheese. Is it worth using a trade like a Fergus Green to a Cade Chandler or even a Pedler? So that's upgrading the rookie. I guess I think that might be a luxury. Rookie correction. If you've hit every other rookie that you need to have or mid-pricer, then maybe yes. But I think there are more pressing matters. I think Fergus Green is still someone who's going to be played every single game, will not be dropped, because they don't have a lot of key forward stocks. He's going to be someone that they're going to need to play. He only kicked the 1 goal in this game, in what was an absolute shellacking. Only had the 6 touches, 50% disposal efficiency. It just didn't go his way today. It's very likely he could have some matchup. He just needs 1 spike game. That's the thing. He's a key forward. You just need 1 spike game where he can kick 3-4 goals, and he'll be good to go. So sidewaysing someone like a Chesser might be, I think, someone that I have ahead of him on the chopping block, because even Chesser's scored less than he did, and things really was against Fergus Green. So I don't know. It's something you're gonna have to wait and see, I guess, and assess after next week. You never know. Fergus Green might end up kicking 4 goals next week, and you might change your mind.
Yeah, for me, it's more just we've spoken at the start about when to upgrade the players. Wait and see for next week. I think Chandler, if he pops out another 70 plus, is going to be a must-have. You have to have him because he's going to jump up 100 plus in his first week of scoring. Like, first price rise is going to jump up that much. So you need him in your team at some point. It just depends about what the break even of the guy you're taking out is. But small pocket in a good team does a lot better scoring wise than a key forward almost in a bad team. So yeah, if Hawks aren't expecting the ball in that forward line very often, he might be one you swap out now, depending on who your second player is. So Mackenzie Joe did really well. Kind of almost was their best player on field. Fantastic for a young kid. Looks a lot better than your Josh Ward of last year as well. And Warple. So Warple's one that I'm really considering this year. He's valued at like a 60 or something. So if he can pop out 100 every week, he's going to jump up a lot in cash really quick.
Yep.
You don't need him all season. And at 300K, he's that perfect price point to come. Maybe you swap out a Wayne Miller or someone like that. We've done Hopper. I've done Bruin this week. So there's players around his price point that you can swap out for guys like him. So, yeah, really just one to watch for next week. If he scores, let's say if he scores another price, scores similar to 100 next week, he almost becomes a must-have that you have to get in. And we'll do a big episode on the must-haves for next week after the game to kind of see what's going to happen there. Moving down that list, Newcomb was one who I think some people had jumped on, didn't do so well. Dylan Moore did quite well in the first kind of quarter, I guess, of the game and then fell off quite hard. But, if you're playing midfield forward in a game where you just get dominated in the midfield and forward, it's a bit hard to do to score a lot. The Ruckman didn't do very well. Sammy Draper didn't do that well either, but the Ruckman didn't do very well.
What are you talking about? Sammy Draper, mate.
Yeah, but
that's his regular, consistent.
It's not like a 110. It's not a 110 from Sam Draper, and the other one scored 40s and 30s. Like he almost like you add their points together, and then that equals his points. So it's not
73 is classic Sam Draper.
Yeah,
it's classic Sam Draper. Whereas these guys are people were thinking of getting into their teams to start off with. You know what I mean? Like it's very, very bad. Very bad. That's why we said don't do it, guys. We don't recommend it. Will Day. Will Day was someone.
Yeah. The problem with Will Day is that you very rarely will you have someone that has such a high DT score to Supercoach score. And maybe there were clangers that he did that ended up costing them goals and things like that, and that's why his Supercoach score was so low.
I think he was sharked. Yeah. I think it's because he was sharked so much. The midfield domination. You actually lose points if you're sharked. I think so. Our midfield well and truly got on top of their midfield. Their young midfield with Newcomb and Warple really got owned by the likes of Parrish, who was in there. Setterfield also did really well in there. Shield did okay. And, Merritt didn't do as good as he normally does, but that's because he was tagged. And yet he had the Finn McInnes tag and still finished on a 92. Yeah, so that is really good. That is really promising.
He did start off the game pretty average though.
Yeah, because he was tagged. He was tagged by Finn McInnes early, and then as the game progressed and kept going, he was able to work through it and well and truly sort of was getting his 1-2s, was getting involved in the play, a lot of good defensive hustle. So that was great. In terms of Mason Redmond, he's a gun. It is what it is, 118. You love it. 2 goals, though. 2 goals in that 118. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Archie Perkins. Could this be a breakout year for Archie? He's also a mid-price in the 300s. Look, we're not going to play Hawthorn every week.
No one's talking about him either.
And no one's talking about him either. So Archie Perkins was someone that has trained really well this preseason, was being given more mid-time. But we're parking him forward a lot more now, especially with the injury to the package, Jackie Stringer. He's playing that Stringer forward role position. And then obviously, of course, we lost 2-meter Peter. So forward stocks really dropped a lot, and looks like we're going to need Archie Perkins forward. So is he going to be reliable? 3 goals, 3 that game. You got to keep an eye on him, but I don't think the role is very Supercoach relevant. Darcy Parish, look, you can't fault anyone for fading him after the preseason that he had. Interrupted looked disinterested in the Pracky game, had ice on his calf at the end, and even then, 37 disposals for 109. It's not very good, not really translating very well. Sammy Durham on a wing, love the kid, but you don't really want wingers in your team. Giordano Ridley, as you can see, there's a +1. He's playing a different role. It's what you want. He looked really good. He scored most of his points early on when the game was close. And after halftime, it was really a demolition. So the ball hardly got to him, and yet he still turned up, which is a really good score, a really good sign to him. He did kick a goal in there as well, which was great. His first goal in AFL football after 69 games. I liked what I saw from Ridley. He's definitely a viable selection. Zerk, key defender. Setterfield, my boy. He started slow, but he worked his way into the game. 10 marks, 6 tackles, 25 touches. You know what I mean? Like it was a great performance from Will Setterfield. Good pod option. If you guys watch our stuff, you know I've been very bullish on him. If you watch Supercoach Insider, you know the guys over there were also very bullish on him. So this was a win for not many people. I needed some small win in the week. I've had too many things fail on me this week, Big J.
Oh, man, I'm just happy you guys got a win. I know you're complaining a lot about it last year, so yeah, fantastic for your mob. As you say, no 2-meter Peter, who I think was the leading goal scorer at the club as well. So yeah, and good to see Tipper come on field, even though he didn't do much.
I cried.
Yeah,
I screamed. I lost my voice. It was unbelievable.
The ruckman from either team aren't great. Cheese was saying Sam Draper loves his 70s. I think from the hair, as well. It's pretty cool. Look to pick up Merritt and probably Parrish throughout the year a bit cheaper as well. So these guys that haven't come on and set the world on fire. So there will be price drops there, especially at 600K starting.
Oh. Let's go. We need to go back to back. Healing Hikes. We got to go. I'm going to be at this game. We've got to see another win. 2 from 2. Did you know? I heard this stat from Lee Montagna. Apparently, in the last 28 years, the team that finishes first on the ladder, out of the 28 years, 27 times they make finals.
Yeah, but you have to win a final, Joe. You can't make the finals. That's what you've done. You've got to win a final.
Now the thing is, we can't lose finals or win finals if we're not in finals. So we have to make it there first. And the statistics are on our side. 27 out of 28 play finals. So yes, and Alwyn Davey Jr. was sensational. Great debut. Very electric. You love what you see.
Good score too.
Good score, 100%. On only 1 goal as well. It's not like he went bananas. He only kicked 1 goal for 58 points. And he makes his way up the ground, as we mentioned in our reviews before. And he only had 55% disposal efficiency. You know what I mean? Like, this kid is special. If he's cleaner, didn't have many mistakes, kicked a couple of goals that he probably should have kicked, this score is definitely a lot higher. Very good to have.
Last team of the day.
Finally. St Kilda versus Fremantle. It was a big game. Mason Wood, another ton. Is this guy legit?
I think maybe it's his breakout year. What's he priced at? Let me just quickly check.
Because he also killed it in the preseason game. He scored really well when he played against us. And remember that a lot of it had to do with the number of marks that he took. And again, he took 6 marks this game with 4 tackles.
$393K. It's too expensive.
$393. Yeah, that is very expensive.
That could end up having a bit of a breakout year. If that's what you guys are kind of looking at. There's better options, I think, there. Sinclair 104. Excuse me, guys. Sinclair 104. Ryan Burns 92. Jack Steele, another stinker game. So all these guys who are priced at 600K who are really going to drop in price. Remember, get your cash gen and your things worked out for him. Rowan Marshall, so an 80. It's not what we were looking for. I think was the highest owned ruckman. So hopefully he's back up next week. Otherwise, everyone's going to complain. Josh Battle's in there, 60. Machida Owen, 76. So it's okay. Philippou, 76. As a rookie, you're really happy with that. Stocker, 74. I think you're pretty happy with that too. Should get close to jumping up the 150K mark. I know someone was asking about Stocker before. So, yeah, not a bad pick for the price. If you wanted to sideways someone like a Liam Jones, you could have done that as well. Or pick someone else. You know, this week you would have made, 71 points on the choice. So, not too bad. We go all the way down to our boy Anthony. So, had a really good game. Posted out on Twitter about him as well. So, yeah, pretty happy with that.
Yeah, well done, Anthony. I think you did enough to hold your spot, man. Absolutely. And it was a winning team. You're very likely to hold that spot. Keep it up. And remember, you got to remind Nazaya. You've got to remind Nazaya he has to play on. He has to step outside when he's taken outside of the goal square when he's taken the kick in. That counts as a play on. He would have had more kicks. So he had 17 kicks, but I forgot how many kick-ins that he took that he didn't actually play on from. It would have been more. He's robbing himself of key important statistics and for us as well. Okay, so please let him know. And other than that, I think he had the role. He had the right role. It was, a halfback, loping from halfback role, which is exactly what we knew that he was going to get. 17 kicks, 5 marks. This is exactly what you wanted to see from him. You know what I mean? But the problem was this. 55% disposal efficiency. That absolutely killed him. Back him in, guys. He's not going to have that sort of terrible efficiency every week. And to be honest, I think part of the reason why that happened was because he went cold. Because the ball was living in Fremantle's defense for most of the game. The degeneracy of these bastards. I know I said it before, but I'm going to double down. What is this nonsense? 30 kicks. 13 marks, 22 kicks, 20 marks, 18 kicks, 13 marks.
It won't happen every week, so don't expect those big scores. Hayden Young.
This should never happen again, ever.
Yeah,
ever. This will never happen again. If they do this again,
they're going to lose more.
Oh yeah, 100%. So this should never happen again. This is disgusting. I would not look too far into this. This game in general is an aberration. I understand that, Luke Ryan 171 is really appealing, and it is, don't get me wrong, but I would certainly have a look and see next week if any of these guys have anything remotely similar to what they did this week. It's going to be, if they're going to score points next week, it's going to be it's going to be based off intercept marks and not this chipping to themselves nonsense. Okay. Well, who else was there? Sean Darcy, 96, and the ruck, 38 hitouts. He's a big man. You happy with Darcy?
I would have liked English and Wits, but you got to cop it on the chin, right? I think the game, as you say, was in the back line. There wasn't as many contested stoppages, that kind of thing. So, yeah, see how we go. I don't think the Luke Jackson kind of took a lot off Darcy, so... Yeah, he's fine for me for now. Moving down that list, Will Brodie, not as great as what a lot of people wanted, especially for the price. People had penciled him in for, 110s, 120s, given that congested possession role. But then looking at Darcy, he didn't score that well either. So maybe the ball, as you say, just wasn't there. In a regular game, both of them might be getting 20 to 30 points more scoring. Brayshaw as well, so... horrible shanking game for him, it looks like.
50% efficiency. Yeah. Yikes.
It's not great.
6 clangers. Lord have mercy. But he also had 3 free kicks, 4. So this score could have been a lot worse if he didn't have those extra points from the free kicks. And Healing Hikes was asking, yes, Global, we're putting in the hard work so that you don't have to, right? You know our saying. We got to keep it going. Yeah. No coming down here.
We're on the last game, so it's
we're on the last game. We're almost over. And Healing Heights was asking, was Brayshaw tagged? That was the talk. No, Brayshaw wasn't tagged. The one that was tagged was actually Caleb Sarong. He was the one tagged by Bytel. So interesting call by Ross the Boss.
Hey, it worked.
It worked.
So
exactly. just disrespecting Brayshaw was the way to go, apparently. Luke Jackson, 61.
Nat Fife, Joe. Oi.
Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to like? Am
No.
I allowed to sneak a finger in? To you, Nat Fife. Nat Fife, stuff you, mate. That's what you get for absolutely. I knew I hated you. I knew I didn't want you. I knew that I'm not supposed to start forwards. You don't start forwards. And yet I was in a situation where I was tossing up between him and Flanders and Sheasel. I didn't want anyone because they were all going to play crap roles, apparently. And I thought, you pay more money to get better players. No, that's not the moral of the story. Moral of the story is you've got to freaking play it smart. And Fife is out of here. Piss off, mate. Never again. I'm going to go Sheasel. You can get... That's all. That's all I'm going to say. I got muted.
Yeah. Yeah, he burnt a lot of people. I was lucky. I actually jumped off him, which was great. But no, Nat Fife's no good. Alrighty, I think that might be us, Joe.
That was all of the games. Very long stream, 2 hours and 10 minutes. I don't think we're going to do that again. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, so much fun. No better way for me to start a Monday evening. Just like to spend a Monday evening, but I don't think we're going to do that again. I think we're going to be doing shorter formats videos in terms of the reviews for each of the games. Let us know in the comments.
Monday's stream staying regardless, guys. So we'll be here.
Yeah, Monday's stream is the one. Yeah, correct.
But we might try and bring you some information, like if it's a Friday night game, Saturday morning, that kind of thing, just to keep it relevant as well. Always happy to answer your questions. Thanks a lot to Shees. Keep the community going, and it's been fantastic so far. Here's to a good round 2.
Absolutely.
What have we got coming up, Joe? So tomorrow we've got our watch list episode, so going through a few more heat maps and stuff like that of players. So watch out for that video. That's going to be really amazing. Wednesday, not so
injuries as well. Talking about injuries, updated to injuries, which people are out, which people are looking to come back in. Big news. But I can tell you that there is one player that has an injury to the heart, and that's Fife, and he's straight out. Yes, Global, I agree. He can get out of here. So yeah, we're going to be still pumping out all of our content. We have put in our thank you video. The schedule of what sort of videos are going to be pumping out every week. So if you want to have a good understanding of the routine, the schedule that we're going to have going forward for the rest of the year, feel free to go and click on that video. We're looking forward to pumping out more and more. As we said, Monday streams will still be a thing. You can come in, ask your questions and everything. And Cheese is going to give me a heart attack.
Oh, mate. Remember, stick around for Thursday. It's going to be lots of fun. 5:30, the team sheets come out. Well, sorry, 6:20, the team sheets come out. But 5:30, we're definitely going to be streaming from there as well. So it's fantastic.
Cheese. Look, I don't know how much cheese you could have been able to buy with that money tonight. But then again, you don't really like cheese. So I guess since giving it to us is one thing. I will not buy cheese with this. Guarantee it. I will not buy cheese. Thanks so much, guys, for coming in. It was good fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned. We're pumping it out for you. And we'll see you in the next one. Anything to say, Big J?
No. We'll catch you on Thursday, guys, 5:30. Hopefully you can make it. If not, send us your questions. We've got Facebook as well, so you guys can post us in there if you guys can find us. So, yeah. Have a great rest of the Monday, guys. Catch you in the next one.
Bye, guys. See ya.